There's a look at Tuesday's schedule. We have ourselves a doozy of matchups. Really excited for these. We're going to focus in on one in particular at the moment, and that, of course, will be USA and Iran. I mean, this is a big match anyway for the group, but now we have controversy surrounding it as well. As you take a look at the standings here, the U.S. Soccer Federation, when promoting this game, removed that symbol in the middle there for Iran, which is on their flag. And it also sounds like that this was a U.S. Soccer Federation decision. It's not like they consulted with the U.S. government or with the players themselves. The players came under fire at a press conference by a lot of Iranian journalists. And one in particular is also citing Section 13 of a FIFA statute, which says any person who offends the dignity or integrity of a country or a person or group of people shall be sanctioned with a suspension lasting at least 10 matches. So it's Section 13 that prompted this tweet by posting a distorted image of the flag of the Islamic Republic of Iran on its official account. The U.S. football team breached FIFA's charter, for which a 10-game suspension is appropriate. The penalty, should be such for Team USA, and they should be kicked out of the World Cup. This is very muddy, gentlemen. This is very, very muddy. Ollie, I just want to get your thoughts first on just what the U.S. Soccer Federation decided to do without consulting anybody.
Yeah, it's a massive blunder, isn't it? Like, I understand that we all, people want to show their support for what's happening in Iran right now. And I think we're all in, most of us in the Western world, you would imagine, are in the same place on that. And that's fine. I think we've seen a lot of this tournament of players and coaches expressing their opinions on these kinds of subjects and being asked very often about these kinds of subjects. But I thought, whoever's responsible for doing that, it's an incredibly irresponsible thing to do that puts your players and your coach, when they then have to go and face the media, in an incredibly difficult position. So there's ways of doing it in terms of, again, showing your support here, making a statement here. To just do something like this, where you're not even really acknowledging it, you're just putting this graphic out with an altered flag. I think it's incredibly irresponsible. It's something that, people don't really realize what their responsibility is when they're representing their country at a tournament like this, to act in the right way. So I think that was a real blunder. I'll just add to that, Tyler Adams and Greg Berhalter inevitably face questions on this in their press conference today. Tyler Adams in particular faced some pretty aggressive questioning from an Iranian journalist. I thought he handled it absolutely impeccably. Like, the United States have got their captain for the next decade there. I was so impressed with the way he spoke under some really difficult questions. So well done to him. But this is the kind of thing where, I don't know if it's someone operating a social media account or if it's someone higher in the US soccer PR staff, but it's a really dangerous thing to do, I think, for very little kind of gain or purpose, as far as I can see.
Yeah, there are other ways, obviously, that we see players making or taking a stand, I should say. But Jordan, I'm curious, because this is where a lot of mudslinging comes in, right? Because nobody is perfect. And to your point there, Adams was asked about, like, hey, wait a second, we know what's going on in your country and the Black Lives Matter movement. So let's stop acting like, you're perfect. And this is what ends up happening, right? Everyone starts throwing stones, right? From glass houses here as well. And it can get really muddy here. And I understand that there are a lot of people, there are a lot of athletes who want to use their platform for good, who want to speak out. But then sometimes you can cross that line and it just becomes so distorted. Are you here to play? Are you here to make statements? Are you here to answer questions about politics and what's going on socially in certain countries? Are you here to play? It's just getting very muddy. And I just don't know where you are as well as an athlete, Jordan, on this.
$1 million question, Andy. I would say time and place. Like, you can have your views, you can have your beliefs, you could want to make your points and not offend certain people, but time and place. I'm sure everyone at the World Cup wants to advance their country and their team to the next round and win games. So one shouldn't supersede the other. Like, if you're there as a player to play, like, that should be your priority number one. Now, we're obviously all human, and everyone has their beliefs and things that they stand for. And I, in no way, I'm going to tell someone how they should believe or they should think or how they should go about certain things. But I just know the World Cup happens every 4 years. You have a duty and an obligation to your country to represent them properly. And how you can do that best is on the pitch.
Mm-hmm.
It's incredibly difficult for some of these players. Like just to add to that, like if a player wants to express their opinions on these things, they're absolutely entitled to do that, and I've got no problem with doing that. But they're often sat behind, these microphones, put in the position of needing to be an expert on all of these different things. Like Tyler Adams is 23 years old. Like when I was 23 years old, like I don't know if I would have been able to answer that question in a particularly convincing and compelling way, right? I probably would have panicked and thrown up. So like the way in which they handle these things, I think is, a lot of them are incredibly impressive. I'm not sure they should be put in that situation, but yeah, well done to them for handling it.
Well, let me just ask you this. Let's talk about the soccer. Quick little prediction here, Ollie, on how you think Iran USA is going to play out.
Really tough one to predict. I'm going to back our friends south of the border in the United States and say they pull through in this one and get the win they need.
Jordan?
I agree with you, Ollie. I think just off of their last performance, you can only judge a team by how they played last. And yeah, they have a lot to play for. They have everything to play for. So I'm going with the USA as well.